So in last class, we seen about JSON payload. So whenever you want to write JSON payload, you must need to create one JSON object first. Okay. Now inside JSON object, there will be some child element. Okay. So child element, how we represent child element? Let's say we are creating JSON object for student. Okay. So student will have registration number.
Ravi, are you sharing your screen?
Sorry. Oh, my screen.
Sharing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. So today we will discuss about this JSON object. So in last class also we did some discussion. So let's continue that discussion. So whenever you want to create any JSON object, so first thing you need to put one curly braces. Okay, and what does it means? We are creating one JSON object. This is mean if you are using any curly braces, that means JSON object. Okay. Now in JSON, it's mandatory to have all the elements inside object on JSON object only. Okay, you can't put element or key value pair outside of JSON object. Okay, each key value pair must be inside the JSON object. So first thing I want to create student object. Okay, so this student itself will be inside JSON object. And now student will have some child element. Okay, so student will have some child element. So what all child element it will have? Registration number, value we can put as a okay, then role, address, okay, and class. So we have this JSON object. We have student object which contain multiple childs, or you can say attributes or element also. We use multiple terms here, either attribute or element or child element. So we have registration number, which is of string data type. If it is string, then it will be inside double inverted comma. If it is integer, then it will be single, like there will not be anything. And each attribute will be separated by this comma, comma. Yes. Then name, address, and class. Okay. And once this all the child element you will write, then you need to close this JSON object. And it should student itself, as I mentioned, whenever you write anything in JSON, each element should be inside JSON object only. So student itself will be inside one JSON object. So this is the structure of student JSON object. Okay. Now I want to create JSON object for employee. Okay. Where employee has employee ID of type string, then name string, salary integer, date of birth string, address string. So everyone create JSON object for employee object and send me in chat. I can see most of you have answered. So Sujit one, everything looks good. Only one thing, like if you are using this capital, then use capital for all. If you are using small, use a small for all. Otherwise, everything is good. Technically, there is no problem. Okay. So this one is Mukesh one. Your one is also good. If you are using again like whatever, if you are using camel case small capital, use same pattern. This one, employee ID name looks good. Then this one good. This one also fine. Yeah, so everyone has like given correct answer only. So you got some basic idea. Okay. Now second question. So here we have employee object. Now I want array of employee object. So at this moment, you have only one employee object. Now I want array of employee object. So what change you will do here? You need to send syntax, not in text. So I seen everyone answer. So ideally, what should happen? So your previous one was this, correct? Previous one was this. Okay. So now what is our question? We need to write employee as a like employee array. Okay. So this should be array, not above one. Array will be this. So what everyone did? Everyone kept array here, but employee object is repeating one. Okay. So this particular payload will be repeating payload. Everyone clear with this or not? Yeah, this one is correct. So now this will be syntax, and now as I mentioned, employee is array, so you can put payload. This payload will be repeating payload like this. Okay, so this employee payload will be repeating payload. Everyone clear with this or not? Doubt on this part? Now I want to create in this employee object only. Okay, employee object is repeating object, means like employee object is an array. Okay, and where address itself is an object. Okay, now here address is an element or attribute of this object. Now address will be uh, okay. For address, data type is string. Now address has data type as a object which contain address line 1, address line 2, and address line 3. City and country. So previously address was one JSON string. This one was string. Now address is object which contain address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, and then city. Everything is string and country. Update this JSON payload. So I can see most of you have answered, but only few people has given correct answer. Okay. Only 1, 2 answer is correct. So first one, employee array, employee ID, name, address, city, Hyderabad. In address, we have address line 1, 2 also that you missed, but other things are good. This one. So employee will be array, but you haven't kept inside array. Employee, your employee is object only. So this one is not correct.
Okay.
This one. So you kept this address one as a string only. It's not. So in address is object, okay, which will contain again key value pair. How employee is object and which contain key value pair, same way. Now address is also object which contain key value pair. So this one is not correct. Yeah, this one you can see. Address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, then city, country. So in this way, no, should be, yeah, correct. Address will be again object which will contain this key value pair. And yeah, this one is correct. So far I can see this one, Amit one is only 100% correct. This one again, you just kept address line 1, 2, comma, comma. This is not correct, Balaji. It's also not correct. This one is correct. Yes, this one is correct. This one, address Hyderabad, no, not correct. City, correct. Okay, so only you can see few people has given 100% correct. So now let's see all these three scenario. First one was we have employee object. So first one was this. Simple employee object. Where employee ID, name, salary, date of birth, and address was there. Okay. Now, second part, this employee will be now array. So this will be like this. Okay. Array can have one or more elements. Array is a collection of object or element. So it can have one or more objects. So now employee is an object. That is second part. Third part, address will be object. Okay. So address will have address line 1, address line 2, then city. Now address will also be an object. So this will be everywhere. Everyone clear so far? Or if you have any doubts, so these all things are basic things. If your base will not be clear, then later on you will face problem. Okay? If you have any doubt, let me know.
So can you explain it again?
Which part? Address part or everything?
Everything.
So first thing our requirement was we need to create one employee object. Okay. So we created this employee object. This one was employee object. Second thing, so this employee object is now array of employee object. Okay. This employee object is now array. So to make it array, what we need to do, we need to put inside this bracket. Okay. And this, if you were making this employee as a array, employee object as a array, then this can be repeating. Okay. There can be multiple employee details like this. Okay. And then we have third requirement. This address itself is an object. Okay. Which contain address line 123 city and country. So then if address will be object, then this address will change from this string to this object form. Object should be always inside curly braces and which contains multiple attributes or key value pair. Is it
Okay.
clear now?
Yes.
Okay, fine then. So we are good with this JSON part. Okay. Now same thing we will do in XML. Okay. So first thing was employee object. Now, if you want to convert, okay, this employee object, same employee object, you can write like this also. Both are correct. Either you can write in above format or in this format. Both are correct format. Okay, and if you want to convert this into XML, okay, as I mentioned in JSON, both are correct format only. You can write any of this. But if you want to convert in XML, so first thing in XML, we have everything inside this braces. Okay. So there will be starting tag and end tag, and every start tag will have some name. Okay. So we want to create for employee. So this will be employee start and employee end. Okay. So whenever you want to write XML payload, so we have this employee object. So we will write employee like this. Employee in this bracket and then this closing one. This one is starting one and this one is closing one. Okay. Now inside this employee, what all child we have? So every child will come here. Okay. So all the child will come here one by one. So what I will do, Okay, so what all element is has employee ID, then name, then salary, then date of birth, then address. Like this one. And we have value. Okay, so here in JSON we write key value pair like this, and here we write like this. Okay, so value, now in worst case, okay, if you forgot the syntax, how to convert JSON to HTML. Okay, so what you can do, just copy this JSON to XML converter. There are many online websites are there which will help you to convert this from JSON to XML. Any website, put your JSON payload, convert JSON to XML. What happened? Invalid JSON. Why it's saying invalid? Let me go to some other website.
Comma is missing over there.
Comma was missing.
Somewhere one comma is missing.
Okay.
After
Here you
last.
can see, yeah, here you can see it's saying us. So you can see this employee object we got. Okay. So this root, I think we have already this employee as a root. So this root we don't need, but there will be some this header. Okay, it's not mandatory, it's optional. So this header will tell you like version of XML, then which encoding we are using, so that those kind of detail will be here. Okay, but if you see this part, this is the main part. So for this employee, we have this employee, and then we have employee ID, name, salary as a child of this. So employee ID, name, salary, date of birth, address as a child of this, and these are the value. Okay, here for string and integer for everything, it will be inside this. There will be no double inverted comma or anything. So we can do simply, we can convert. Now, this one was first part. Second part was we want to convert that JSON into. Okay, now let's do third part first. Third part first. Okay, so this address I want to convert into again JSON object. Okay, so this one was second part where we have one JSON object where address itself is an object, like it's this one address is a child object inside this employee object. Okay, so what you will do, you will take this. Okay, let's convert there only. So what I can do, can paste it here. So you can see here now, this we have employee as a parent object, which contain employee ID, name, salary, date of birth, and address. Again, it's a child object of this employee object. So address is an again object which contain address line 1, 2, 3, city and country. So this will be equivalent XML payload. Everyone clear with this?
Sir, can you convert the array of objects into XML?
Yeah, that we will do. That we will do. So this part is clear or not?
This is clear.
Anyone else has any doubt on this part? Okay. If no, then next, second one, like what we had, what we did, this employee we converted as a employee object array. Okay. So there will be repeating employee object. Yeah. So this is the JSON payload. Now, if we want to convert into XML, so here you can see employee. Yeah. Now it's mandatory to have one root element for this employee, since this employee is repeating one. Okay. Now you can see this employee has one root element. Okay. Let me show you difference. Then you will have, let me show you one another example. Then you will get a more clear picture. This is the employee object where we don't have, like, we are not writing any employee object. We are not giving employee object name here. Okay, in previous example, we used to give this employee object name here. But here we are not giving any name. But still you can see whatever data we have, which is inside one root element. Okay, so in XML, it's mandatory to have root element. In JSON, you can see we can write or we cannot. We are not writing any employee object or root object name here. But in XML, if you will remove this root, okay, it will give you error. It will be invalid JSON XML payload. Okay, so in XML, root element is mandatory. Okay, if you will give root element, then you will get that root element norm also. If you will not give, then automatically it will take one root element. Okay. JSON object can be stay without root element, but XML object cannot stay without any root element. So there must be one root element. Either you can write root or like employee, anything is fine. Okay. Now if you will convert root element here, so that root element is coming here. So here this root one is not mandatory at this moment. Without this root also it will work since we have root element here. Okay, that's why here you can see when this employee is an array, okay, then this root is mandatory. Okay, if you will remove this root from here, then it will give you error. In this case, if you will remove, then it will not give you error. If you want to see, it's good tools are there. Okay, so okay, valid XML. Okay, if I will remove this root, so there will not be any problem since we have already this employee object itself is a root element. So you can see this is still valid XML. Okay, but in this case, if you will remove this root, then it will give you error. Since employee is repeating element, if employee will be only one, then we don't need root. But employee is repeating element. Okay, means it must have one root element. So you can see this one is invalid. Okay, so hope you got idea what I mean to say. So in XML, you must need to have one root element. In JSON, it's not mandatory to have. Okay, for example, if you want to write this JSON without this line also, then it will work. Okay, starting from here till here, it will work. But in XML, it will not work. XML must have root element. Okay, now everyone need to create one XML payload for this student object. Everyone create one XML payload for this student object.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Ravi. Could you please repeat the question again? I'm not getting
Yeah, you need to write XML payload for this student JSON object.
it. Okay. Copy that and paste it in the chat.
Okay, so it looks everyone has written correctly. Okay, now everyone make this student as a array. Okay, which will contain multiple student information.
Okay, could you please repeat the question? Sorry for that.
This time we need to create student as an array in XML format.
Okay.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, it looks good only. So it's not mandatory to put as a root only. You can put some logical name also, like students. Inside student, we have student like that. Okay. Yeah, but it looks good. Everyone now getting. Okay, so I think for today we are good. Okay. If you have any doubt from today's session, you can tell me.
Sir, just one question. How do we differentiate different students? I mean, just by,
By
I mean,
detail, na? This is just
Just
like
details.
key.
Okay.
This is the value. This is the actual data.
Not with the tag, right? The student tag.
Yeah, that tag is just key. This is the data.
Okay.
Okay, so here. So this employee ID is key, and this is the data. So by this, we will identify how many students are there.
Okay. I mean, okay, fine. Yeah.
Fine, then we are good for today. Thanks, everyone. So let's connect tomorrow.